Good afternoon and welcome to Lariat TV News Today. I'm Igor Stepchinsky.
And I'm Sarah Gill. Thanks for joining us today. President Donald Trump has been acquitted after a 4-month-long impeachment process. He was found not guilty on both charges, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. I spoke with Republican and Democratic politicians as well as Baylor students to gauge the local interest. President Donald Trump was impeached by the House but not convicted by the Senate. This acquittal has made history and given politicians much to talk about, even locally here in Waco.
The House part of the process was an unfortunate hyper-partisan sham that was not based on any proper investigation. It was just designed from the beginning to try to overturn the 2016 election.
Oh, look, I have some impeachments. I almost feel like I owe Richard Nixon an apology. There's a lot of parallels between the Nixon administration and the Trump administration, but what we thought back in my day as being really sort of scandalous and really pushing the edge of the envelope kind of behavior appears to be nothing compared to what happens now.
Donald Trump is the third U.S. president in U.S. history to be impeached. What do Baylor students have to say about it?
Honestly, I really think that when Nancy Pelosi tore up Donald Trump's speech at the State of the Union, it just showed this great division in our country right now, and also just this anger that we all have.
You know, as a blanket statement, no matter how you feel about President Trump, his policies, or even how he conducts himself, that the process as it was going through the House was a total farce.
I think that it's been like a big waste of time for this country. I mean, there's a lot more pressing matters.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Sarah Gill.
All eyes were on current President Donald Trump's impeachment trial, and that's no exception for the Baylor community. The W.R. Poge Legislative Library, Baylor's Institute for Oral History and Baylor Law, held a panel event to discuss the framework for impeachment proceedings. The panel included former U.S. Congressman Chet Edwards, U.S. Congressman Alan Sealman, Baylor Law Professor Rory Ryan, and Professor of History Stefan Sloan. Baylor student Alec Holman, who attended the event, shared the valuable words he learned from former Congressman Edwards, saying, quote, "Impeachment should be used in a circumstance when they feel like democracy itself is in danger, and not just when you are angry with someone for doing something wrong." Each panelist shared their experience of the impeachment proceedings from former Presidents Richard Nixon and Bill Clinton.
The Baylor Student Senate rejected a bill that would have changed its entire makeup in a hearing that lasted over 2 hours Thursday night. Since September, Baylor Student Body President Sloan Simpson and the Internal Vice President Brooke Beard worked alongside a Diversity and Inclusion Committee. With the hopes of creating a more inclusive campus, the bill's intent was to increase the participation of all the different groups throughout the university. The bill would increase the number of senators from 52 to 58 based on majors, student population, and attended and at-large votes. Although the reconstructing bill failed, the Senate passed 2 other measures, making 2 Student Senate Diversity Inclusion Committee a permanent committee. The other formally prohibits discrimination against student government members based on gender, race, and other factors.
Really the heart of all of these bills was just to include all of our students. We really want to have more of a diverse and representative governing body.
We need diversity in the student body. It's super important to us. There are people all around the university that aren't having their voices heard right now, and that the step for me to take right now is going out and finding those people and finding what voice is not being heard in Senate and coming back here and doing things to make those changes. It's so important to us, and we just want to make it so clear that we are trying our best to get in the right direction and include more diversity in this student body. It's so important to us.
We are just really excited to see what the future has in store for student government, but more importantly for our student body as a whole. We were so excited to see the turnout today and see how many students are very encouraged about this and about all these steps moving forward, and we really would encourage any other students who want to be involved in this initiative to reach out to us to really help us rally around and really just push Baylor forward and push Baylor student government forward.
And at the very least, we just started a conversation that I know has only just started to begin.
The past several weeks have been filled with new insight on the novel coronavirus that originated in Wuhan, China. U.S. citizens who are in Wuhan are being evacuated and brought back to the country. 250 of them are being flown to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, which is one of the 4 locations where evacuees will be held for evaluation. According to the United States Public Health Service, all of the returnees will be on a federally mandated quarantine for 14 days. The CDC suggested the flu remains a bigger threat to Americans rather than the coronavirus. They suggest people can avoid the infection by washing your hands with soap, not touching your eyes and mouth, and staying away from people who are sick.
Sadie Robertson is coming to Waco. The Dancing with the Stars Season 19 runner-up and Duck Dynasty star will be at Common Grounds on Sunday at 6 p.m. The event is free, but there might be a small price to pay. I have the story on what Common Grounds is expecting, so you can make sure you get in the doors. In just a few short days, Sadie Robertson will be here at Common Grounds for a worship event free to college students. Since there are no tickets required, it raises the question of how many people will come and what is the maximum capacity of Common Grounds.
So we're going to have people watching the entrances and keeping track of the capacity, and once we get to that point, then we're just going to have to, close the doors.
People usually start lining up an hour before an event begins. Sold-out shows can hold 800 people.
And that's when we also swing the gate out. It covers up the drive-through. We clear out all the furniture. So it actually does open up quite a bit.
The production company still hasn't decided on whether or not they will pay extra to open the gates.
By doing that, we lose revenue for the drive-through. So basically, it costs more money.
Baylor students are excited to hear Sadie speak and have a night of worship.
I know a lot of people on campus are really excited about it. Having it at Common Grounds is also really cool because a lot of students come here just to study or hang out. It is kind of small, so it'll be cool to see her in a more intimate venue.
This won't be the first time Sadie has been to Common Grounds.
We had one staff member say, "Oh yeah, she's been here before. Over the summer, she came out and just hung out and drank some coffee." It was just not a big deal at all.
If you want to see Sadie Robertson, be sure and get there early. For Lariat TV News, I'm Sarah Gill.
Baylor University's Giving Day is a campaign where donors can contribute to the success of current and future Baylor students. Financial gifts of any size can be put towards any specific area of the donor's choosing. This year's Baylor Giving Day is February 12th. Last year, over 2,700 gifts came together to raise over $500,000 for various programs across campus.
Up next, you'll meet a former Pinland Wing Wednesday cook who opened up his own restaurant at Union Hall.
You'll also get an inside look at what kept Baylor students up all night on Wednesday. Stay tuned.
The best and brightest are drawn to Baylor, where those from many backgrounds with many talents shine together before casting their light outward to illuminate the world. Through transformational learning opportunities that are grounded in Christian faith and service, and research that impacts lives and communities. Baylor University, a place where lights shine bright.
Turns out our school makes a great place for snowboarding, snowball fights, and making snowmen. You heard it right. Baylor was dressed in white early Thursday morning by Mother Nature and pulled a crowd onto campus at the most unlikely hour. I was there to see our enthusiastic students sacrificing warmth and sleep to enjoy frolicking in the rare Central Texas snow.
It is 2 o'clock in the morning and 32 degrees outside. For some Baylor Bears, it's just an ordinary test day. But for those who didn't go to hibernation early, our Baylor Bears are having a snow day.
These students should have went to sleep a long time ago.
We were messing around in our apartment, and then now we're like, we have to go to Fountain Mall.
I get to wear a onesie?
When was the last time this happened?
I got a tail?
I love
It's a once in a lifetime thing.
I mean, don't they have class in the morning?
I have a pre-cal quiz tomorrow, and I'm supposed to be studying. So.
8 a.m. I have an exam at 9.
8 a.m.
9.
I have 2 tests. Can it please be canceled?
But a Central Texas morning like this is too rare to take for granted.
The snow.
It never snows. It's Texas. This tree behind us is something that I've only seen in pictures, so pretty cool to see snow fall from the sky and everything. This is my first time.
I'm from Houston. This is my second time ever seeing snow.
I was homeschooled. I have not had an actual snow day in 18 years.
Yeah.
It would be an honor for me to have my first one in college.
I cried a little bit when I first started seeing it snow.
The snow may be cold, but enjoying it with a snow friend or two makes it oh so warm. That's something that even Judge Baylor didn't want to miss out on.
I can't even describe it. This only happens so rarely, and to experience this moment with everyone coming out and supporting each other and just being connected by the love of snow is great.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Igor Stepchinsky.
A man who calls himself the Wingman just opened up a restaurant, Wings of Waco, in downtown's Union Hall. He once was a chef at Baylor's Dining Hall, serving students wings every Wednesday. Now he has spread his own wings following his dreams. LTVN's Grace Smith discovers what goes into this simple but delicious finger food.
In downtown Waco, Kamar Harris, better known as the Wingman, opened up his restaurant Wings of Waco in Union Hall to share his love of wings with the Waco community.
I want to bring an enjoyable food experience to everyone. And what can I do that everyone loves that, you never get tired of? And me personally, I never get tired of wings, so I wanted to bring them to life and bring them to Waco.
With over 20 years of being an experienced chef, his journey to success comes with an encouraging message.
When it comes to having a dream, you gotta go out and live it. You can't just dream about it every day. You have to take a step forward.
His inspiration comes from his former job cooking at Baylor University's Penland Dining Hall.
They would do wings on Wednesday and sell out every Wednesday. So, that kind of inspired me to do a wing concept, because if it sells out at Baylor, it can sell out here in Waco.
It's our busiest day. We end up serving around 2,100 servings of wings at lunch. On top of that, we do another 1,500 at dinner.
Honestly, the wings at Penland, like everyone knows, the wings here are the best. The best wings.
There's something about wings that, especially when you get a variety of flavors, and that's what I think is most important. It's a finger food, something something that everybody loves, chicken, and they just dive into it. And it's like our best seller here. We tried to take it away and it came back. So they wouldn't let us take it away. So that was pretty awesome. It was a movement done by students and customers. So it's good to get that feedback, say, hey, we want the wings.
Whether you get your wings from the Wingman himself or the Penland Dining Hall, you won't regret it.
I'm your wingman.
Dr. Pepper is honoring the 2019 national champion Lady Bears basketball team with a collectible 12-ounce glass bottle filled with what is the unofficial but historically official drink of Baylor University. This special bottle features the iconic interlocking BU and a national championship logo and will cost you just $2.25. The Dr. Pepper Museum says the bottles are going fast, and to get your hands on this commemorative bottle, you can visit the Dr. Pepper Museum in downtown Waco, your local Walmart, or Sam's Club, but only while supplies last. LTVN's Brenshavia Jordan spoke with Mary Beth Farrell, the Director of Development and Communications at the Dr. Pepper Museum, and heard how these bottles are flying off the shelves.
Obviously, basketball fans are very excited about this. A lot of people have an overlap of being passionate about Baylor, being passionate about their love for Waco and Dr. Pepper. So it brings the community in here to the museum, which we obviously love. But there are a lot of people who don't collect Dr. Pepper, but they do collect the Dr. Pepper commemorative bottles. So it gives them the hunt for that collectible.
On Baylor's 175th birthday, Mark and Paula Hurd were awarded the university's Founders Medal. The medal was initiated in 1969 and is given to those who have significantly contributed to Baylor's prosperity and success. In 2018, the Hurds donated a lead gift to fund the $1.1 billion philanthropic Give Light campaign. They've also exponentially increased the growth of the Baylor tennis program through their immersed generosity in the building of the Hurd Tennis Center. Today, a copy of the Founders Medal is on display at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C.
It's not often that a Grammy Award-winning jazz vocalist visits Baylor University, but the Pruitt Symposium made it happen. I sat down with our guest and got to know what music means to him. Baylor's Pruitt Memorial Symposium hosted Dr. Cedric Dent, a singer from an 8 Grammy Award and multi-platinum jazz vocal sextet called Take 6. He is currently a professor at Middle Tennessee State University.
My folks didn't like gospel music. I got curious, and it's like, you know how kids are, man. The thing you're not supposed to touch is the thing you really want the most.
The first half of the symposium was in Armstrong Browning Library, where Dr. Dent explained how the group Take Six became a sensation in jazz and black spirituals with their song David and Goliath.
The more jazz influenced it was, the more I loved it, because I really loved close harmony.
The second half took place at Tolliver Missionary Baptist Church, where he gave a history lesson of black spirituals with his own musical talents. Needless to say, that's where the power of worship music really hit the audience.
Something about becoming closer in my relationship, realizing at a real gut level the sacrifice that Christ has made for me means so much more to me now than it did when I was younger.
For Lariat TV News, I'm Igor Stepchinsky.
The phrase Immortal 10 stirs memories of the tragic accident in Round Rock 93 years ago that killed prominent Baylor students and athletes. Eugene Byrne, a Baylor student at the time, almost met that same fate. However, the simplest of things caused him to miss the bus, saving his life. LTVN's Braden Thomerson met with Byrne's grandson Scott to hear his story.
93 years have passed since the deaths of 10 Baylor students in a tragic bus crash in Round Rock, Texas. The impact of the accident was felt across the university. However, for Eugene Byrne, then a freshman, a fortunate turn of events led to him missing the bus. LTVN met with Baylor alum Scott Byrne to hear his grandfather's story.
He was actually scheduled to be on that bus that left here that fateful morning going to play University of Texas, but he overslept.
His mother had heard about the accident on the radio and called Byrne's uncle to check on the young man and see if he was still alive. He called her on the phone.
And she said, put Joe back on the line. And Uncle Joe got on the line. She said, bring him to me. Because she didn't believe he was okay.
Byrne's grandfather was deeply impacted by the events of that day and recounted what happened in the time following the crash.
He said, you couldn't have taken a rifle and shot 10 finer men. You just couldn't randomly have done it. He said they were the salt of the earth. You know, if 10 finer men couldn't have been sent up to heaven, is the way he always put it. They put black drapes over the baskets in Morris McLean. And they still had classes there, but they kept the lights off out of respect for the deceased. And he said going to class, he'd go through Morris McLean to go to class, and he said it was just really such a somber experience because you're reminded of what took place.
Baylor still remembers and honors all involved in this deadly accident. But for Byrne, a turn of events saved his life.
Baylor Spring Sports boasts 4 top 10 teams who could all compete for national championships.
Drake will tell you about each of those right after the break.
At Baylor, our lights shine
while we push our limits
and guide the way.
At Baylor, our lights shine as we're making connections
and making an impression.
As leaders
and as part of something bigger.
Baylor's light shines around the world, but it starts in each of us. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
After a tough loss to Arkansas on their first road test of the season, the men's tennis team rebounded with their biggest win yet Thursday. Brian Boland's squad got their first win over a top 10 team, beating 6th-ranked Wake Forest 5-2. Sven Law left his fingerprints all over the match, winning both his double bouts with Constantine Franson and his singles match over Wake Forest's Taha Badi. Coach Boland spoke post-match on the team's success and their underlying goals going forward.
I think right now we just need to continue to embrace each day because we're doing a really good job. And proud of the guys. It's an unbelievable group of young men that want to get better every single day.
The women's tennis squad is close to bursting into the ITA rankings as they just keep winning. The squad rode the momentum of back-to-back comeback victories over Ole Miss and Mississippi State last weekend to improve their record to 5-0 for the first time since 2016. Head coach Joey Scrivano hopes to keep his team on track as they head into this weekend's match against Nebraska at the Hawkins Indoor Tennis Center in Waco. Scott Drew's squad closed out the first half of Big 12 play with a 9-0 record off of a 73-67 win at Kansas State on Monday. Their undefeated mark in league play is good for their best start since they played in the Southwest Conference in 1948. In Manhattan, the Bears jumped out to an early lead and never looked back, thanks in large part to Jared Butler, who broke out of a nasty shooting slump and went in to tally 20 points on 4 for 8 from long range. Butler and company will start their second stretch of Big 12 play on Saturday when they host Oklahoma State. Tip-off is at 5 p.m. at the Farrell Center, and the game will be broadcast on ESPN2. Lady Bears star forward Nalissa Smith looked like her old self on Wednesday, posting her 8th double-double of the season and leading her team to a blowout victory over the Kansas Jayhawks. Here's LTVN's Nate Smith with all the details.
Great defense led to easy offense for the Lady Bears on Wednesday as they cruised to a 97-44 victory over the Kansas Jayhawks at the Farrell Center.
They're a terrific program. I said back in Lawrence when we played earlier that I felt like that if Baylor should be fortunate enough to stay healthy, I think they're better than they were a year ago and could very well be right back in the national championship hunt.
The 53-point margin of victory was the program's largest margin of victory in a Big 12 game. And although their point totals might not show it, a large part of the Lady Bears' success was thanks to the duo of Lauren Cox and Dee Dee Richards. Cox only scored 4 points, but left her mark on nearly every other facet of the game, dishing out 7 assists to go with 5 boards, 3 blocks, and 3 steals. And Dee Dee Richards had 7 assists of her own to go with her 8 points and 1 steal.
Those two kids aren't about stats. Those two kids are about getting back to a Final Four, winning another Big 12 championship. And it's amazing what can be accomplished when nobody cares who gets the credit. And those are the reasons those two kids are all Americans, in my opinion. It's just because they'll do the dirty work, they'll do whatever's expected of us, what you need us to do, we'll make our teammates better.
The Lady Bears had 4 players score in double digits, led by Nalissa Smith, who tallied up 23 points and 10 rebounds, followed by Taya Cooper, who notched 15 points, and Queen Egbo, who had 10 points and 10 rebounds to post her 7th double-double of the season.
Once I see my shot go in, or just see little things go in, I start to just keep going, keep doing things that I see that's working, so just felt comfortable doing things and starting to score.
Nalissa Smith and company will go for their 51st straight conference win on Saturday, when they'll take the trip up to Manhattan to take on Kansas State. For Lariat TV News, I'm Nate Smith.
Baylor softball starts their season this weekend against 23rd ranked Auburn and unranked Louisville at the NFCA Classic in Clearwater, Florida. 12 of the Bears' 52 games are against opponents ranked in the preseason top 10. Senior pitcher Gia Rodoni says she feels healthier than ever after sitting out last season due to knee surgery. Prior to her injury, Rodoni was 47-17 with a 2.2 ERA and 3 no-hitters. The acrobatics and tumbling squad flexed their muscles in their season opener against Mary Hardin Baylor last weekend. The top-ranked Bears had near-perfect scores in multiple events to beat the Crusaders by a total of 41 points. The Bears look to pick up where they left off this Sunday when they'll be in Gaffney, South Carolina to take on Limestone College. National Signing Day took place across college football on Wednesday as Dave Aranda and his staff pieced together their first signing class. Baylor claimed 5 new Bears to add to the 12 who signed early in December, including the 16th best defensive end in the country in James Sylvester, who is a 4-star player according to 27 Sports. The Bears also landed 4-star quarterback Blake Shapen, who will also play baseball, as the 2-sport athlete chose Baylor over Arizona, Ole Miss, and Louisiana. With universal success, we may be in the midst of yet another year of the Bear.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, BaylorLariat.com, or the Waco City channel.
We'll see you next Friday for our next newscast. Have a great weekend, Baylor Nation.